Okay, I'd like to call our town hall to order, if I may. At least as much order as I bring it. That's not a whole lot sometimes. I'd like to thank you all for joining us, both here in person and online on our Love Stream. And what I would like to do is to have Reverend Tim open us with a prayer so we can be appropriately centered as we move forward.
Oh, thank you for joining us. We breathe into this moment. We know that where we are, God is. And we know that everything that happens here in this spiritual center is the presence of God. We bless the work of this church. We bless the work of this board. We bless the work of this spiritual community. We are so grateful, God. We open our hearts, our minds, grateful to know that it's all in alignment with Spirit. We give thanks, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So I was asked just a few minutes ago, what is Town Hall? And Town Hall really is the opportunity for us to share with you from a board standpoint, how we are moving forward, how we're evolving. And so my intent as the current board president is to be able to share that experience with not just from me, but from other members of the board too. And so you'll be hearing from other people besides me. But since this is about the board, I'm going to introduce a few things to help you understand how we as a board are working. Can I go to the next slide, please? So we have discussed the quantum living process, and a couple years ago, we did a board cue card where the board looked at who we were and who we aspire to be. So this is the board's cue card. Now, I was a member of the board at the time that we were acting as though we were inconsiderate and unsafe, that we were helpless and distrusting, that we were overwhelmed and hostile. 6 years ago, that was the case of our board. And how we have evolved, how we have grown is, to next slide, this is who we aspire to be and who I'm finding that we truly are. We are loving. We are in integrity. We are unstoppable. We're spirit-led. We're empowered. We are in ownership, and we are transformational. So these are the aspects of your board, those 9 of us who make up that body. This is what we live by. So if we go on to the next one. So in 2020, we said, we're going to come up with our guiding principles and our agreements that we as a board are going to live by. And we have 10 of them. And I'm going to start today with number 1. And each month, I'm going to introduce one of those 10 agreements to help you understand how we as a board look upon ourselves as functioning. So number 1 is we continually seek spiritual insight and keep our mission and vision at the forefront of our perspectives and actions. In other words, we always reach into ourselves and we find that sense of spirit that guides us. We go use that as our moral compass, as our guiding light. And we keep our mission and our vision, which Cindy will share with you a little later, as our guidepost to keep us on track. So moving right along, our actual board news, our next slide. We do still have a board vacancy, and we're now going to start addressing that. We wanted to give ourselves a little bit of time to get settled in with the new board members. But now it's time for us to fill that vacancy. In the last month, we had a prayer retreat, which I understand was extremely successful. There were 28 or 30 people out there, and I have heard from so many people who had not experienced something like this before, how transformational it was for them. Our spirit groups, we have 5 spirit groups that are in full force and operation. I personally like to participate in the Wednesday one with Reverend Tim and the deep dive into that week's lesson. And what's interesting, too, is the last one I attended, I had a prayer request, and I found my prayer request was responded before I had even made the request. And so there is huge power in these spirit groups and the ability for us to connect with each other and with spirit in that process. Our courtyard and our cafe is open. All right, I apologize to those of you online. We didn't get started on when we said it at 11:45 because there was just too much fellowshipping going on. And we were going to find a way to make this a little more congenial for everybody involved. But I want to let you know our courtyard is in full force again. We had a line for lunch. It's this wonderful time down there. It's exciting. It is. So I offer the opportunity for you to come and be a part of that on Sundays. Our ongoing Unity School renovation. If you haven't been in the parking lot recently, look at the back of the education building and you'll see it does not look at all like it used to. It's totally renovated. And the renovations continue, and then we as a ministry are going to we have the opportunity of looking at how we want to better utilize our facilities throughout the campus. So that'll be projects that we'll be talking about with you later. And finally, what I want to talk about is Reverend Denise Schelink. Reverend Denise was with us for 3 years. It seems like she was with us in heart for forever. And she has done 4 years? Okay. And she has done wonderful work with us. You may not be aware, but she has continued to be under contract with us. And she has been with us to do leadership training for our board and our leadership team. And she's also continued to oversee our nonviolent communication, compassionate communication classes, and has done a wonderful job of shepherding us through that process. She will continue with us in those roles through the end of July. And we feel it's time now for us to spread our wings and become who we are moving forward with the foundation of what she has given us. NVC and Compassionate Communication is going to continue on with the power of the people and some additional resources that we have to help us move forward. Our leadership training is going to continue on because we find both of these things are foundations to who we are. We haven't figured out the details yet. We may continue to use Reverend Denise on occasion. We may do it internally. We're still working through the details, but I don't want it to be a surprise if you hear that Reverend Denise is moving back away from us a little bit, okay? That's where things are at. And we are so appreciative of the things she brought to us and helped us become who we are today as we evolve. And that's all I'm going to share with the board news. Any questions at this point? Then I'm going to turn it over to our T3 team. Cindy, are you available to take over?
I am. I just need to know that people can hear me okay that are in the sanctuary. And awesome. And I know that if you're watching online, you're probably going to be seeing this either later or maybe you're live. I know there's always a delay. First of all, I just want to say thanks for being here for those of you who are in the sanctuary. And for those of you who are going to be watching online at a later time, I just want to say we're so glad that you are here. The Treasury team, we've named ourselves, you've probably been hearing it, we call ourselves the T3. We are the Trusted Treasury Team. And that's because I'm not working alone. There's no silos happening here. The board, we all work together, and we have an assistant treasurer. Her name is Hinano Ray. She's phenomenal. And together, Hinano and I really work hard to just to bring all the news with transparency and with joy about what we are doing. And so this month, I want to start off our report just reminding us, Reverend Tim, you heard it from him today, you're going to be hearing it all the time, that we are the beloved community. And also, I wanted to just go back, and I know that some of the slides slipped ahead, but I wanted to start with a quote, and it is that money is but one venue for generosity, but kindness is an even more valuable currency. That just spoke to me, because as the treasurer, that's what we're talking about is money. And, abundance comes in so many different forms and ways and shapes, and it's just not always about the fiscal dollar. We are going to be talking about the fiscal dollar today, but I just want to remind us that, we live in an abundant universe and we give in so many ways. And the easiest way, the most efficient way for us to give is through kindness. So next slide. Thank you. I want to talk about a way that we're giving. Every month we come to you, and I've been sharing a little bit about our tithe. We believe in the law of circulation, and we give each month 10% of our donation, and then we split it in thirds. We give 1/3 to Unity Worldwide Ministry, another third to Unity World Headquarters, and our final third we give to a local nonprofit. Again, this is in alignment with our mission, which is transforming lives. And we want to be in alignment with people on our island who are helping transform lives. And so this month, it was our great honor to give to St. Anthony's Retreat Center. They have given so much to our local community, and really just to us recently. We got to be there for our board retreat. We also got to be there for our prayer retreat. And St. Anthony's, if you've not had an opportunity to experience, just, Google it. It's up in the Kalihi Valley. It's absolutely dynamic and special and sacred. The ground is sacred. That's our Aina. That's where we live on this beautiful island in Hawaii. And Sister Ivy and the other sisters there are just so special. So it's our great opportunity for the month of May to give a third of our tithe to St. Anthony's Retreat Center, which is $491.96. And we're just really super excited to continue this law of circulation, the law of giving and receiving. So I just wanted to share that with you. Next slide, please. For our T3 report for April, I just want to share that this is kind of the April news. And this is a slide that you'll see each month. You'll just see a little bit about where we are this month. Our donations came in at around 14,000. That's just up from last month, and we'll see that in a few minutes. We're so excited about that. Thank you all. We have other income that comes in, and when other income, those are things like from our preschool and from any special events we do or weddings. So please share the news that we are available for other income, for people to have weddings and other ways in which people can utilize our campus. Like, there are times when it's just available and for rent, if you will. So please share the news with your friends and your family and those in your community. Cost of direct revenue, that's just about how we have online giving costs, and also that also takes into account the tithe that we gave from the month before. And then we have expenses, right? So we always have expenses. So our expenses at this moment in time are a little bit more than our total income. And so this month we have a net ordinary income of $8,768.09 in the brackets. And in the brackets means that's just a little bit below the line. So we're working to get out of the brackets, family. We want to be out of the brackets, and we want to be above the line. Like, we're above the line in all of our interactions. We want to be above the line in our fiscal world. So we're working on that, right? We're working on that together because we are the beloved community. So that's where we are for April. Next slide, please. I brought this slide to you today because a lot of people just like, it's like, well, this is where we are, but where were we, or where are we going? And I want us to know that we are together. This is the bottom line, and this is us climbing the hill together as one beloved community. So I just wanted to bring your attention, instead of just having the bottom line, I just wanted you to show you, like, look, we're moving and grooving, right? So January is always a big month for us, right? That's the holiday season. February is always a little shorter. It's also a shorter month. March, it starts peaking up again. And look at April. Our donations, they jumped up a couple of grand from 12,000 to 14,000. Good job, team. This is all of us working together to be above the line and get out of the bracket world, right? So I just want to share, this is kind of where we are. I also want to bring your attention back to March. March, things were a little bit different. We had some donations that were a little bit lower. We had some expenses that were a little bit higher. And you'll see that we had to transfer $20,000 from our reserve fund to assist us in making it through our regular cost of what it costs us to do business, right? We all know how it costs money to do business. It just is what it is. So although we were above the line, in the end, we were kind of super below the line that month. So we had to help ourselves up to make it through the month of March. So again, I'm bringing this to your attention, not for any other reason than to be transparent and say, hey, we're working together. We are one beloved community. And, and Reverend Tim shared about it today in today's service. He talked about the boy, right? The boy who shared with what he had. And then suddenly everybody was sharing with what they had. And soon there was enough. There was more than enough. There was an abundance of enough. So again, I just know that we're all sharing, and whether that's fiscally, or you're sharing with kindness, or you're sharing with your ability to give a class, or whatever it is that you're sharing, I know that we're all sharing together. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your tithes. Thank you for your offerings. Thank you for being you and showing up. Next slide, please. And again, this is just kind of the cumulative of where we are. So we have net revenues, we have total expenses, and then we have the bracket world. And this is just from January through April. So that's just that final kind of total. Our goal is to get out of the brackets, which is kind of a little bit below the line, and get above the line, and that's what we're working for. Again, we are self-sufficient. We know that God is our source, and sometimes we are given the gift and the opportunity to remember to give of in whatever ways we can. So whatever that looks like for you. Again, I just want to offer up, I'm going to be always this person who shares, if you are not online giving, this might be an opportunity for you to think about that. We really encourage it. And that we talked about this last month, and you can go to the next slide, please. We talked about this last month, but when we are giving online, it helps us, your board and your T3, it helps us to discern where we are and how much is in our gas tank, if you will. Like we know how much is in our gas tank because people are giving regularly online. And so we know when we have to drive a certain distance that our gas tank is full. But if we're not giving regularly online, sometimes it's like hit or miss. It's like, well, do we have enough gas to drive this month or not so much? So if this calls to you and you're thinking about it, please reach out to your staff in the office, whether that's Kathy Kaiser, Reverend Johanna, Reverend Tim himself, Jerry, whoever's there for you. Call the office and look about how you can get set up for online giving. I want to share just again, we talked about our vision and our mission, and in everything we do, our mission. So I just want to end with that we are centered in God, we're transforming lives, and we inspire people to make a positive difference in our world. This is our world, friends. And we elevate global consciousness through that realizations of oneness, that we are the ones we've been waiting for. And so I'm just grateful for each and every one of you. We are the beloved community. I'm open to taking questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And are there any questions for our treasurer, our T3 team? I'd like to offer a personal story here. We have a board member, Jan Fitzgerald. I don't think she would bemoan me telling the story, but she gave as she gave for many years. She's been a member of this church for 40 years. And what she expressed to me was that as soon as she started regular tithing, her finances turned around and she no longer had to question how much money she had in the bank. Everything just seemed to work out, and she found her abundance grew. That's a nice story, okay? But the story that makes a difference to me is my story. And I can tell you my story. I always like to write a check for giving because it made me feel like I was giving, which tells me that's really operating, in my opinion, that's just Jerry's opinion, I'm operating out of a poverty consciousness because I want to prove to myself that I can give rather than having it being a part of who I am inherently. Once I started with planned giving, or in this case, I give monthly automatically, all of a sudden, I don't have any economic challenges. Now, I can't figure out how that works out, okay? Just like I can't figure out how God works. I just know the result. I know the result for me is I can still write a check when something special touches me, but because I'm always giving to God, it's as though I am always in that circulation. And so I can't outgive God. And so I am blessed continuously. I will express also that I am more at peace and more serene in my life than I've ever been before. Is there a correlation? I don't know, but I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to accept it and let it be. That's my personal story regarding that. Next. Okay, here's the easy one. Questions or answers? If you have any thoughts or answers, I'm happy to hear those too. Okay, I'm going to call on someone. Okay. To start with your name, please.
Oh, sure. My name is Eric. And I was just curious, what type of outreach are you all, or what has Unity of Hawaii been doing in order to let people know that there is spaces to rent? Like, I know I was helping volunteer to beautify the the classroom that we have on the side there. And, you know, I just don't know if there's like ways to get that information out there.
We do have a volunteer coordinator, and she's probably the first person to, is Tina here? I don't see her. Yeah, she's down there volunteering, okay? But she's just, she's a wonderful resource. If you don't know what opportunities we have, then we are remiss in letting that be known. Okay, I'll take some level of responsibility for that. We have a lot of opportunities for people to participate here, and if we haven't made that information available or obvious, then that's something we should do. Is there a talent you bring that you'd like to offer us?
Oh, no, my question was more along the lines of, in order to generate more income, has there been a way to publicize the space for rent? That's all.
Jerry,
Reverend
if I
Tim?
may.
Just going to comment on that. Just so you know, Eric, Reverend Johanna, Kathy, Kaiser. Kathy is our events person and office manager. We are strategizing about ways to advertise this more. Reverend Johanna is going to, in online venues, be advertising more. I'm asking about things like wedding resources, like wedding books or whatever, so that more and more people learn about our facilities. And so I want you to know we're actively talking about how to build it back up, because there was much more events and rentals before the pandemic. At Unity in Marin, where I came from before here, we had a very robust events rental, and then the pandemic occurred. Then we started building it back up and developed new strategies, new ways of doing it, because the world is different now than it was in 2019. So we are addressing that, and I'm glad you've asked the question. It sounded like Reverend Margie wanted to respond, but I just want you to know, we as a staff are looking at that, addressing that, wanting to see that shift. Thank you. Reverend Margie had something?
Yes, thank you, Reverend Tim. I was just going to mention that while it isn't broadly publicized, you all are working on that issue. And if Eric is speaking from experience, don't we want to invite him in to contribute to that conversation? But Kathy Kaiser, as you mentioned, our events manager, has an active page on our website that fully describes our space, available services, and how to contact her and how to apply to use it for, use our various spaces that are available for events, for rental. And we welcome the creativity to step forward that indeed gets this out, and beginning with, as Cindy mentioned, word of mouth. Tell all your friends and family. Recently, I had a contact with a local family here that had a venue fall apart for a family reunion. And I said, hey, we've got a space that might work. And they rented our courtyard for their family reunion 3 or 4 weeks ago. So yes, tell all your friends. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Catherine Burton, and I'm speaking on behalf of the fundraising committee. Thomas and I had a meeting last week, and it was so extraordinary. At the end, my point being is make sure Thomas Gallagher is on this committee about how to spread the word and new ideas. I didn't know Thomas Gallagher could channel, a word we don't use, but he, for 5 minutes, went through ideas, and he said, well, the first thing we could do is start a food service, so that they could cater the weddings and cater things. So, and there that was. And then he said, and then we could have a meditation room that people, they needed to and could come in and give a donation. And he went on and on with these ideas of what we can do with our space that we hadn't really heard of. So I just want to say the universe is really coming through with creative ideas. Make sure he's on that committee. Thank you. It was delightful.
Thank you. Benita, I'll be right with you. One thing I want to mention is, speaking of fundraising, when you heard us talking about this reserve account, and want to kind of respond to what that means for us. A couple of years ago, Debbie Catania came up with that idea. She was our treasurer. She did a great job of helping us formulate our processes and set policies for us to move forward. And she also recognized that well, if I was a treasurer, you could tell because I pulled all my hair out. She kept hers. She has gorgeous hair, by the way. Anyway, but the thing was that we needed to have money available. Now, we have no mortgage. We have no real debt here. So we're very, very blessed in that respect. However, we do have expenses. And there is a business of running an environment such as this. And so it's incumbent upon us to have resources available so when stuff comes up, because stuff happens, that we can take care of it. So she started this reserve account for us, which you saw the brackets that were expressed by our T3 team, has been depleted a bit. And so we're going to need to build that back up again. So when you hear us talking about wanting to raise money for our reserve, is to give us the ability to continue to do the business of God here at Unity Church of Hawaii.
Bonita, this is Bonita, and I have been talking to a lot of different vendors around on the island, and we used to have vendors that come here, some type of event, and that's what I was thinking about, having that again, because I got a lot of gift cards, business cards, and a lot of vendors. They said, oh, yeah, Unity Church. I was wondering when they were going to have us coming back again. So that's another way of fundraising. Hopefully, it would be fundraising.
I just wanted to say something we haven't really announced yet, until now. And that is that I've been talking with Michael Powell, who painted this painting right here, and with Dan DeCastro, and they are artists, and there are others of us who are artists on island. And so we're looking at the first Sunday in August. In my memory, it's August 6th, but the first Sunday in August, following the Sunday morning service, having a art sale down here by Connection Central, so that people can eat, they can look at the art, they can buy art. We're looking for other artisans that you may know about, maybe jewelry, painting, sculpture, other kinds of artisans. And so this would benefit the artists, and at least at this point, we're thinking 50% of sales would come to the church. It would be a fun way to connect, so it would be fun. And it's also a way to bring in some of those artisans and the arts, which I really love. So just want you to know that some of these things are happening organically. I know it didn't exactly come through the fundraising committee. I believe I told Thomas about this recently, but it's something that's developing organically. So I think that's a great idea. So the
Thank
first
you.
Sunday in August, we're planning on that.
Good.
It's Myrtle Fillmore's birthday, August 6th.
Oh, yeah?
It's Myrtle Fillmore's
Birthday party.
Thank you. Birthday
All
party
right.
for Myrtle. Cool.
See, no questions, but lots of answers. Is there anything else? Yes.
I'm just going to say one other thing that I sometimes hear on the interplane and that we've said, and that is, for the last maybe, 10 years or so, our annual budget is sort of around $400,000 a year. And for the last 10 years, we sort of need $40,000 a month, as we just saw. And another way we talk about this, one is giving and prosperity. And I remember 20 years ago, when we all took prosperity classes about tithing and circulation, and no one had problems after that. I mean, it solves the thing. And I hear that Reverend Tim is probably going to be doing the class again. Fabulous class. My point being is, there's another way we looked at that too, which is there's one, your relationship with God and yourself, and there's one, your relationship with the church. And that's the cooperative fair share, which ends up being about $40 a week. If this was your 24-hour spiritual fitness and you were taking weekly classes, it might be around, that much. Not to say that you have to give more and less, but I'm just saying there it is. And sometimes I hear the point on the inner plane that, if we're not giving anything, yikes. So we want to make sure we're giving something to Unity in exchange for what we receive so that manifests good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Cindy.
Yes.
T3 here. Hey, Catherine, thank you for that. I love that. Your spiritual workout or whatever it is, we're always given to something, right? I just want to say that I've heard so many good ideas today, and I heard Eric talking, and I heard Juanita talking, and Catherine, and Reverend Tim, and that energy right there, that is the energy of flow. I want to just say that. That is the energy of flow. I did not hear any energy of blockage. I did not hear any energy of lack. I just heard this energy of flow, and it was beautiful. And that's where we're growing, and that's where we're moving, and that's how we're moving. That's who we are. And so I just wanted to say thank you and bless you all for that flow energy. And it's just phenomenal. And Eric, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm imagining already like this beautiful poem coming through you about flow and Unity Church of Hawaii and all we've got going on here. And I just imagining you on stage, just sharing it. And all of a sudden people are knocking down our doorsteps to find out who we are. So that's an invitation. I'm just putting it out there. So anyway, thank you so much. I just wanted to say bless you all. And I miss you in person, but it's a beautiful day here in Anchorage, Alaska. It is, however, not a balmy 80 or 70 or anything. It is a chilly 50, straight up 50 degrees. And I'm wearing a sweatshirt and tights and a blanket, and I have my heater on. Love you all.
Okay, thank you. Anything else we'd like to bring up today? Yes. And your name first, please.
Hi, my name is Pam Brown. This is my lovely husband, Wayne Potter, and we are visitors. And so we always come here when we come to the islands, and we love this church. It's fabulous. There's no doubt about it. We love Reverend Tim. We love everything you do. So my question is, could you just tell us your thoughts about children programming on Sundays?
So we have, since the pandemic, now we've started a ministry for children. At this point, it's basically for children from 4 years old to 10 years old. And we have some excellent teachers down here who are really well trained in working with children. And I'm so grateful for that ministry because we continue to attract some young couples, young families, young adults who have children, and they want to be able to have a place where their children can learn spiritual principles and can grow together and support each other. Currently, we're using a curriculum with which Catherine Burton had recommended to us and had written a lot of curriculum around it, which is on family values or family virtues. And so it's about different things that align with our 12 powers that we teach in Unity. And our teachers do a phenomenal job. Now, I was just talking with someone, Jojo. Jojo's a friend of mine, and I knew Jojo from before when we lived here. And I came out of church today, and I was some distance away, and I said, "Is that you, Jojo?" And she turned, and it was, and tears, and because Jojo's husband, Rob, who is a friend of mine, had passed away. And Jojo is now in a new relationship, and so I got to meet Bo, and anyway, but Jojo is interested because she has like a 2-year-old, Atlas, and we have other people who have these young Keiki. And so, we're wanting to expand those ministries. Now, these are volunteers that are doing this. They're highly skilled people. They're people who are professional teachers, work professionally with mental health and with youth and so forth. It's amazing that we have such highly skilled volunteer teachers, and we have substitutes, so no one has to teach every Sunday. We can trade people out so that they can be in the service. But we want to expand to the even younger age, like the toddlers, and we want to expand into the tweens, the kids that are between 10 and high school, the tweens, and then the high schoolers, YOU, Youth of Unity. So we want to expand that, and please continue to hold that in prayer. And if any of you are interested in working in those areas, please let us know. But we have a big vision. We have a team that is a ministry team, which means that I work with them, the ministers work with them, youth and family ministries team. And if any of you want to be on that youth and family ministries team, you want to be on it, Amanda? Great. I would love that. You're a teacher, you've worked with youth. Boom, I can just hear divine bells going off. So it's in progress is what I'm saying. But almost every Sunday we've had kids down here in our youth ministry, and it's really going well. Does that help speak to the question? Yeah? Thank you, and it's great to have you here, Pam. Thank you. Great to have you both here. Thank you.
And I want to express something about this. Our programs that we're bringing back, because we've had most of these programs in the past, it's our intent to be methodical about it. We want to make sure that we have the space, the resources, that we are really ready to do things appropriately and productively. We're not going to move into something and not we want to make sure that we have the greatest chance for success. I worked with our Youth of Unity here for 21 years, and it was the greatest growth experience I've ever had. I still got probably 150 of them as friends still, and they're in their 40s now. Tells you how long ago it was. But that I think in all the time I've been here at Unity Church of Hawaii, that's where I believe I made the biggest difference.
I'd like to share with that, again, Catherine Burton, and when I found this Unity, I've been in Unity for 40 years, but this Unity in 2010, I immediately started with the children and the Sunday school and went, 5 straight years with that. And so they got, all of that material. But I want to say 2 interesting things. When Reverend Tim came, and it was exciting, he said, I want to find a new program for the children, just opening up to that. And the Baha'i community had researched all the Bibles, all the testaments of every religion, trying to find the common virtues. And they found 300 common virtues from all the different religions. And they wheedled it down to 52 so that you could do one virtue every week. And that's what we proposed, and Reverend Tim instantly said, yes, that's it. And then we went further and took the 12 powers, and it was very simple to do. And then for 4 weeks on each power, one of those virtues, 4 of those virtues would go. So that was and that's still there. I got to watch one of their Sunday meetings with the children, and that's one of the things they did. The other thing I want to say, and if you can imagine this, I should stand up and say this, but the preschool, I'm actually guided to stand up and say this. The preschool, which is right over here, that is remodeling, every Thursday morning, from 9 to 9:30, 98 little children, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, would come and sit in these first 2 rows, hip to hip. It was the cutest thing. And so we would have these and we were doing, the church service, and we'd had them singing and making affirmations, and then we always did a skit with a virtue each week so that they could see and they would, kind of participate. So I just want to give you a feel for what the kids hear, and I know that that's going to possibly happen down the road, but in some way. But it's very much a part of what this church is about. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. No questions on YouTube, then I would say we are complete. Is there anyone who doesn't feel complete for today's get-together? Yes, please. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda. This question is more just because I don't know about Unity that much yet, and that is that, does every Unity church have its own school? Or is that something that could be shared?
Okay, so thank you, Amanda. And it's so good to have you a part of this spiritual community. And no, not every church has its own school. Most of them do not. So this was something that was envisioned here 45 years ago, 43 years ago. And the church helped to sponsor. They were told, we need $100,000 to start this school. And boom, $100,000. If you can imagine 43 years ago, like that, $100,000 coming together, and that's how this church got started. And so it's an incredibly successful school. It is considered, and I continue to hear these reports, is considered to be one of the best preschools on the island of Oahu. And it has such a high reputation with a number of schools that when parents are wanting to get their kids into really good schools here on an island like Punahou or others, they look for kids from our preschool. And we see these people come back who are young adults, have their own kids, and they're bringing their kids to this school because it has such a high reputation. Unity in Marin, where I was at, was wanting to start a preschool. And so this is just before I went there. And so they called me and they're like, do you think that we can talk to the director or someone from the school? So Unity in Marin, which is north of San Francisco, called, talked to Sergio, and we developed there a preschool, which has now become a very, very successful school in Marin County at Unity in Marin. So there are ways that it can spread if you have the right people and there is support and information that people can give. And part of the beauty of it, this particular school incorporates a lot of Montessori principles and other principles as well. It's about helping kids to understand who they are, understand how to say no to something, how to say yes to something, how to act in appropriate ways with one another to create ohana. Now, Catherine, you said the first 2 rows. They would be 98 kids. It's more rows than the first 2 rows. And I can still see them sitting in the aisle and sitting in these rows. And we would do these skits, and they'd just be glued to us. You know, we had a team, and every week we would meet, and they'd say, well, Reverend Tim, we need you to give like a 5-minute lesson or something. And I said, you want me to give a lesson to people who are 18 months to 5 years old? Really? But I would give this lesson, and these kids would just be glued to me. And it was astounding. And I remember giving this one particular lesson, comes from a book called Hope for the Flowers, about a caterpillar's journey and going up into a branch and building this thing and being inside this thing. And I said to the group, I said, and remember, there's like 98 kids of 18 months to 5 years old. I said, what do you think that thing is called that the caterpillar went into? And I thought maybe some of them would say cocoon or something. The whole group in unison shouted out, chrysalis. Yes, that's right. We have amazing teachers. And so to answer your question, no, not every Unity Church has a school. We're very fortunate to have one of the very best and to be able to share with others how to do that. And if you're interested in more, we can certainly talk more.
I want to make one statement, then I'll hand it. I want to reinforce something that Reverend Tim just said. This is our Unity School is considered to be the best feeder school, if you will. Out of the 98 children who are currently graduating, only 2 did not get into the school they chose. And those parents chose to put them into public school. So there is an opportunity here, and I'll express too, it's not a parochial school. We don't teach unity principles per se. They teach universal truths that are in conformance with and work with us. But that's part of the appeal, is that parents can bring their children here and not feel that they're going to have a doctrine impressed upon them. And they really appreciate that. And we respect that too.
My name is Bev Smith, and I want to acknowledge you and your impact on the YOU. You made a huge difference in the lives, my grandson too. You won't believe how wonderful, in the end. Yeah, thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
Just one sentence on the other story that you hear from the kids, and they go, they go get into these feeder schools, and they go, and my best friend was my friend from 2 years old at the Unity Preschool, and they became best friends for life from there. So I think that's neat too.
One more thing. I just wanted to mention that some people that have come to visit, and they said they went to the preschool. They looked like they were in their 40s, 40, whatever. But they said that they used to come here. When I first started volunteering here and I came back home in 2009, there were children volunteering. They were ushering. I remember that, and I'm looking forward to it again.
Us too. Are we complete? Thank you all for your participation. Bev, thanks for those kind words. I'm touched. So why don't we then close with our standard song? Can we stand and join hands, please?